So, are the Norse gods for everybody? Well, first of all, if you want to tell somebody that the Norse gods aren't for him or for her on any basis, I don't think that's really paganism. Now let me explain why. In paganism, there isn't a central power structure. Like Christianity or Catholicism, you have the Pope, and the Pope decides this is what goes, this is wrong. So in paganism, we don't have that. And I like that. And I think a lot of people, they say that they like that, but what they really mean is, I like the fact that there's no central authority, so maybe then I can play a bit like I'm the pagan Pope, and I can act like a central authority. Because that's what you're doing. If you're part of the group of people who tells people you're black, you're brown, you're yellow, you're any other color, so you can't be a Norse pagan, you're like that. You like to tell people what's right and what's wrong. And I don't think that's what paganism is about. You know, my personal opinion is, if the gods call you, then they call you. It's that simple. It's not for me or anybody else to intervene. Now, let's get to the other side of the story. Because there's another side to this story. A lot of people think you shouldn't be a pagan if you have a different skin color than white. But there's another side as well, and they have a very popular saying. They say, well, he's called the All-Father, not the Some-Father. Which is kind of clever and sounds good and looks good when you type it on Twitter and you don't think about it that much. But there's always a but. If he's the All-Father, do you think the Hindus in India and the Hindus in Bali, do you think they should just abandon their ways and also become Norse pagans? Do you believe Odin is also their father? Well, I would like to believe that Odin is kind of also their father. But Hinduism is a culture that I'm very fond of. I know some of it. I lived as a Hindu for 3 years, but that's another subject matter for another video. So it would feel weird for me if like the Hindus stopped being Hindus and became North pagan. I think if they would do that, we would lose a treasure. We would lose some strength, we would lose beauty, we would lose diversity. So is he the All-Father? Yes, in my heart he's the All-Father, but I realize that there are different shapes and different forms and everything's okay. So I don't believe you can make that argument like he's automatically the father of all people and everybody should or could become Norse pagans. Religion sometimes feels like a software program for me. People like really operate well on Christianity. Some people really operate well on paganism. Now we're going to make it a bit more complex, because thus far I've discussed, you've got one side of the argument and the other side of the argument. I basically believe that you're both wrong, period. You can't gatekeep. You can't be part of a decentralized movement with no power structure and then want to implement a power structure. Because if, in the moment you implement the power structure, nobody is welcome unless you vote this and this. Nobody's welcome unless you have that skin color. Then there's a power structure, and then that lovely thing called paganism changes. And not for the better. So both sides are wrong. Talking to the gods is very intimate, and it's between you and the gods. So I and nobody else got nothing to say about it. But I'm gonna make it a bit more complex now. Bear with me. I believe in a thing called ancestral memory. Like for instance, My ancestors are German. My last name changed and they made it more Dutch sounding, but originally it was Hachmeister. That's some goddamn German shit. And I don't like French people or French culture. French people watching this, nothing personal, but I just have like this aversion to French. They never did me any wrong personally, but that could be because my ancestors fought the French. Could be. But I believe there's a single ancestral memory. Now I've said like I've been a Hindu for like 3 years. And I never really connected to the Hindu gods as much I did to the Nordic gods. And I believe that because the Nordic gods live in my blood and live in my bones, and therefore they're easier for me to access. Now that's a nice story, but that automatically begs the question, if somebody from Africa comes over and he says, well, I'd like to worship Odin, I want to be a Norse pagan. I mean, then you can say like, well, you know, it's in my blood. Is it in your blood? Probably not. You can sound like that. But here's the thing. I've been doing Native American sweat lodges for almost 15 years now. Longer, to be honest. And there was a traditional Lakota medicine man, Archie Fire-Lamdier, and his son John Fire-Lamdier, who brought the sweat lodge to Holland and to Europe. Now, he basically opened up his sacred culture to white people. The same people that basically genocided his people. And I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for the Lakota Oyate, if it wasn't for the Red Road, if it wasn't for those sacred people who taught us those sacred ways. So for me personally, it would be very freaking arrogant after witnessing what I witnessed to tell other people of skin color that you can't be a Nordic pagan because it isn't in your blood. But is it more difficult for people from other cultures to connect with the gods because it is in their blood? I could say that, but I don't know that for sure. When I was a Hindu for 3 years, guess who my favorite deity was? Guess who I prayed to? Saraswati. For those who don't know, Saraswati is the wife of Vishnu. Vishnu is my deity, my protective deity, because I work as a nurse, and Vishnu is the keeper of the balance and the healer of the sick. But Saraswati is the goddess of wisdom. I have a big tattoo on my left shoulder of Saraswati. Maybe I was subconsciously looking for that Odin, looking for that wisdom archetype. Maybe that was what's going on. And if the Hindus would have said to me, yo, you're white, get out of here, you're not welcome, because we don't teach white people, that would have hurt me tremendously, and that would have made me a poorer person, spiritually. So also grateful for the Hindu priest that took me under her arm in Bali, Ida Aya Purnamawati, that's what she was called. She kind of adopted me so I could be in the family and I could like get the initiations that I needed to get to learn what I wanted to learn and connect what I wanted to connect with. Because I didn't believe at the time that we had a culture that was as beautiful as Hinduism. Now that I'm older, I realize that we probably don't. But it's really a cop-out and an easy and a cowardly way just to run away to the other side of the planet and just start practicing there. I think it takes more balls to put your feet on Dutch soil and actually try to create something that was lost over 1500 years ago. That takes a lot more balls, so that's what I'm trying to do now. Well, my point being, you know, for the race purists out there, even if the people don't have ancestral memory, that they like say that you can argue that maybe just maybe they don't have like the Odin in their blood and they don't have the runes in their bones. You could argue that, you know. I think everybody is welcome. Point one, because it's not our job to tell who's welcome or not. That's a very Abrahamic thing to do. And part two, there's a lot of cultures that lost their everything, that lost their diversity, that lost their lore, that lost their legends, albeit to Christianity, albeit through Islam. So like I was just looking for Odin, but I didn't know he was there yet, but I still longed for him. I longed for that archetype, so I found it somewhere else. So if somebody comes, you know, and somebody comes, let them be welcome. And if you want to exclude people because A, they're a different skin color, B, they don't agree with you politically, I think you're not really... I just heard a gunshot. If you want to exclude people, bam, I'll kill you. No, that's not it. Don't exclude people. You know why? Because all life is a circle, and we are bound together. Everybody in paganism, we're part of this circle. We're part of the larger circle of Earth, whether we want it or not, and we're part of the circle of paganism. And the left side likes to pretend that they're not with the right side, and the right side likes to pretend they're not with the left side. Well, I got a wake-up call for both of you. We're both part of the same circle. Not only that, there is no way out of the circle. We're all in this together. So, I'll probably get hate from both sides for saying that, but you know what? I'm okay with that. Peace. Take care. May the gods look upon you favorably.